Welcome to Questions and Answers on Buying a Park Home, April 2024 by Ibrahim Dolmir, Barrister at Law at parkheslaw.com. In this session today, we shall be dealing with numerous questions and answers. The answers provided, however, should not be treated as specific advice. The answers provided only extend to England and Wales, as I do not cover the jurisdiction of Scotland. And finally, should you be unsure of your legal position after this recording, then please do not hesitate to contact me using www.parkheslaw.com. The questions provided in this session today have been submitted by members of the Facebook forum called the Residential Park Homes for Nice People, a lovely bunch. I have taken these questions and anonymised them, simplified them where necessary, and adapted them so those that are listening and watching would benefit from this presentation today. Question 1. Is legal advice necessary when purchasing a park home? Simple answer is yes. Now, I say this for a multitude of reasons. There is an excellent article that I wrote on the Park Home Living website, which gives 6 reasons, but for the purposes of this recording today, I'll give you 3. First is to actually understand your relationship between you and the site owner prior to entering into the agreement. As I see it, there are many people on online forums and alike that are extremely disappointed with their park home ownership. I understand that most of these people haven't actually obtained legal advice before proceeding, and as a consequence, they have several gripes. The second reason is to avoid major pitfalls. So when I provide legal advice for someone that's purchased a park home, I try to work through those major pitfalls and try to resolve them. But if they can't be resolved, then obviously I will be highlighting them, and my clients would usually follow the advice and not proceed. And finally, it's really important to clarify matters at an early outset. For example, you probably want to avoid buying a holiday home agreement and ensure that the agreement is a fully residential park home. Question 2. I've been told that buying a park home is like buying a car and no legal advice is required. Is this right? Well, one of the main issues that I always find is this phrase, buying a park home is like buying a car. I've heard this phrase for about a decade now, and I disagree with it completely. Using legal advice provides you with that comfort and that knowledge, knowing that you are not about to enter into the wrong agreement. So that's avoiding considerable issues. Although a park home is a chattel, so like a car for instance, it usually comes with a written statement, and that written statement should not be discounted. And finally, I wouldn't advise anyone to spend that type of money without seeking independent legal advice. So that's the same for buying a freehold property or leasehold property. You would use legal advice to do that. So why is that different for a park home? Now you tell me. Question 3. What's more important, a survey or legal advice? In my view, they're equally important and neither should be discounted when buying a park home. So many of my clients, once I provide them my report, I provide them with some important aspects to consider, especially when using a surveyor. I have seen that there are numerous people that have made offers subject to survey. Well, really, it should be subject to legal advice as well. Question 4. When we purchase, do we pay a commission to the site owner? Well, it very much depends here on whether the site owner is the seller or whether you are buying a pre-owned park home. When buying a pre-owned park home, it's a yes. You do have to pay commission, obviously, to the site owner, and that is a maximum of 10% of the purchase price. So you'd pay the seller 90% and withhold 10% to pay the site owner directly. Question 5. We've been told that the forms are easily filled in, and I'm not convinced we should pay someone to do this. Now that's an excellent point, and it is agreed that the forms are relatively straightforward. However, what the forms do not provide is the insight to the actual paperwork, and that's where legal advice is absolutely necessary. So, for example, I've had clients in the past that have instructed me on litigation aspects and then realised that they have incomplete paperwork. They too believed that it was a simple exercise of buying a park home. And the final point I would probably state is that by obtaining legal advice at an outset, you are in a position, the best position I would say, to avoid costly disputes in the future. Question 6. Would you assist in selling our bricks and mortar and also our park home purchase? Well, this is a question I'm often asked. I specialise in park home transactions and assisting with the due diligence. I do not deal with bricks and mortar. That's best suited for a conveyancer. Now, there are usual conveyancing protocols if you are selling a bricks and mortar home or purchasing a bricks and mortar home. That is not the case for purchasing a park home. Now, my experience is brought to the forefront when purchasing a park home. And what I tend to do is do my own individual checks that I don't believe are done in the legal sector. I've come up with those checks having spent over a decade in this sector. And the whole idea is to cover as much ground as possible before you proceed. Now, this is, of course, a question for you. There are several people that would prefer to go to their high street firm or a non-specialist, but I would always recommend that when using legal advice, that you go for someone that understands the ins and outs of an industry before proceeding with them. Question 7. I'm about to buy a park home and I have a good idea of what I should be looking for in terms of legal advice. What are your thoughts on this? Well, sometimes I have to say that I come across excellent people that have done their research and spent numerous hours, months, if not years, searching for their right home. And in the process, they've picked up through forums various pieces of information. Now, I'd say one thing: a little knowledge can be extremely dangerous. Now, in order to counter that, I appreciate it's unusual for a barrister to invite someone to have an initial chat, but I do so just to understand, what the client's looking for, i.e., what are you looking for in your legal advisor, and whether I can actually assist. It's a two-way relationship, of course. So I invite anyone looking to instruct me just to have a brief chat, so we can explain, what your expectations are and whether I can actually fulfill them. I look forward to speaking to you. Question 8. Why should we choose Park Hes Law? Well, there were three main reasons I believe so. The first is you deal directly with myself and, of course, my clerks for the administrative tasks. I have a decade of experience in the sector, from ground level all the way to the tribunals and the courts. The feedback from my clients has been excellent, I have to say, and that is usually because I do my very best for anyone that instructs me. So I do look forward to assisting you. Question 9. How much would the legal costs be to purchase a park home? Now, this varies according to what work's required and the cost of your park home. Now, it would be inappropriate for me to discuss fees on this recording today, so what I would do is invite you to submit an inquiry first, have a chat with me so you get to know what I do, what I can offer you, and what I can do to assist you in this journey. And then it's up to you to decide. I really thank you for taking the time and effort to listen to this recording today. If you are in a position where you'd like to have a brief chat and see how I can assist you, please do get in touch on the details provided on this slide. I look forward to hearing from you all soon. All the best.